Hello, my name is Aiden Sarator, and I'm here for my recap on the season so far for the women's lacrosse team. My guest here today is Luke Brown, the beat writer for the women's lacrosse team for the WIT. And we're going to talk about the team. We're going to talk about their future heading into the senior night on Saturday and the NJAC playoffs. And we're also going to talk about how they've gotten here so far. So, first question. Start off with the obvious. The Profs are 11-1 currently and are ranked number 16 nationally. What are some of the factors that have led to the success so far?
That's a good question. I think that coming into the year, there was an expectation that they would be in a similar spot to where they were last year, which was an NCAA Sweet 16 run. And, you had on your list of questions, and we'll certainly get into some of the factors that led to last year's success. They had to retool. I think that Lindsay Delaney and Lindsay Kate Smith, who are the two, Lindsay Delaney's the head coach and Lindsay Kate Smith's the top assistant, did a really good job in terms of how they wanted the season to look. They went to the transfer portal. They got a girl that is taking our draws right now and scoring a lot of goals as well. Maddie Rothwine from Rider University was a pretty key contributor as a freshman last year at Rider, and to get her to come over to Rowan and make a jump from Division I to Division III is pretty impressive as a coaching staff, and she's certainly gelled in with this team quite a bit. Alexis Lowry has been really strong. She won NJAC Offensive Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. That was the first ever time that she has gotten that. And then you look at the defensive side of things, like Megan Tanner has stepped up a lot from her junior to senior year, coming in as a senior and playing a really important role on the defensive side. And then I also think of Abby Leparati she's a sophomore playing defense. She's teamed up a lot with Leah Corkill on the near side of the field when you're watching at Rowan's Complex. And, it's been a really fun ride so far.
Yeah. So of course, last season they had Molly Green, Hannah Lombardo, and Calissa Burnt, along with Rogers, the goalkeeper. So you already named some of the key contributors that kind of stepped up. Rothwine, specifically, Division I transfer from Rider.
Yeah.
That's an insane get for the team, especially sophomore, correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about Elena, the senior at Corson. Continuing to play phenomenal, being the backbone of the Profs' offensive attack. You've been covering all season. You've gotten the chance to watch her home games and away games. Tell me, from what you've seen, what the impact she has, like how she really contributes.
Yeah, well, I learned very on how unique Elena is. One of the first questions I asked Lindsay Delaney this season was, what makes her such a prominent goal scorer? And I think it's a combination of the niche that she has between being a power shooter and a finesse shooter. That's kind of been a storyline all year, is how she's able to have such power, and she's got strength behind her shots. But really, her finesse is kind of what's leading her to so much success. She became the Rowan's all-time career leading goal scorer at 253, I think now, and counting, after a 5-goal day up in Mahwah against Ramapo on Saturday. Everybody kind of knew that was the game that she was going to break the record of 250, which was set 11 years ago by Becca Wood. So, certainly a long-standing record, and now she's only 4 points shy, 1 point for assist, 1 point for goals, career total points combined. She's only 4 away from the all-time record, which was set in 1995 by Colleen Smith. So she's going to have a real chance to do that against Kane this coming Saturday. There's a lot of appeal to her game, and she's certainly a leader, which has absolutely, she has exceeded expectations, I think, in her senior year, being a leader, and I think she's trying to make the most of it too. There's a lot on the line this year that are ranked highly nationally, and they can make a lot of noise in the NCAA tournament if they hit their stride at the right time, and I think Elena's just trying to make the most of that.
Yeah, well said. Last season I was the for the women's lacrosse team, and I got to watch Elena, and even with so many amazing seniors on that team, she still found her way to find herself in the spotlight thanks to her offensive attack. So she's continued to pick up where she left off last season and the season before, and she's continued to put everything together. So, speaking of the NCAA tournament, a week from now, will be kind of like their test run for
Yeah.
postseason with TCNJ. Last season they faced TCNJ in the regular season finale, lost, then made it all the way to the NJAC final, faced TCNJ, close game, and then one key injury kind of derailed the close game. But they still, regardless, they still qualified for the nationals. They still made top 16. So how do you feel they stack up against TCNJ this time? I know that they're 18th ranked last time I checked, so the Profs do have a slight edge as far as national rankings, but it doesn't really matter. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's always an interesting place to be when you're an underdog. Being an underdog is such a interesting place to be, and there's not a whole lot to lose. They go into a matchup with TCNJ this year feeling like it's one of their better chances. I mean, this is a team, overall in 76 meetings, Rowan is 9-67 against TCNJ. They have not beaten TCNJ since 2010. Lindsay Delaney was still the coach in 2010. This is her 19th season as the Profs head coach, but that was so long ago, and they have been beaten not only in the regular season so many times since then, but also in that NJAC championship game 2 games later. I think that this season is a real opportunity not only to try to get the NJAC championship to be a home game by winning the first matchup, but to try and win the NJAC championship as well. I mean, I know that that's where this program has always wanted to be. I think that they've done the work in the recruiting and the coaching and the development of the players. That's not really a problem anymore. It's just a matter of committing to 4 quarters of playing their game and minimizing distractions within the game. TCNJ might go up 4-1. Franklin and Marshall went up 4-1 in late March when they went over to Lancaster to play F&M, who they've now beaten 2 years in a row because they went down 4-1. They were able to climb back. There's been so many games. Christopher Newport had the advantage pretty much the entire game a couple Saturdays ago, and Rowan was able to come out on top in the fourth quarter by playing their game. They were able to do the same thing against Stockton for their first conference matchup. They were down 6-5 at halftime and were able to come back. So if they can allow TCNJ to just be another team on their schedule rather than this big mountain that they have to climb over, then this will be a year, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, they certainly have put in the work with just transfers and solid recruitment. Both losses this season have come by a combined 3 goals. One was to Muhlenberg and Scranton.
Yeah.
Muhlenberg and Scranton. So there's one more question I want to ask before we finish this up. Of course, senior night's this Saturday. And of course, we're going to be losing more key contributors, especially Elena. So someone's going to have. Do you feel someone's going to be step into Elena's spot, or do you feel like it's going to become more of a rounded team effort where it's not just one person really stacking up the goals? It's a very big spot to fill in retrospect. So how do you think they'll go about it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and a really much better question for Lindsay Delaney and Lindsay Kate Smith than me. Certainly, I think that they have the assets that they're going to be able to go into next year feeling confident. Alexis Lowry has proven to be a really good goal scorer. Maddie Rothwine, if she can continue to take the draws, secure the draws, and score some goals too, that's a really solid triple threat there on offense. And that's a great question. I think that you're going to see some players take a step forward, especially because you're losing Fiona Lockhart too on the offensive end. So somebody's going to have to certainly step up, but I don't know if it'll necessarily be one person being quite as dominant as Elena is this year.
Yeah, it's really hard to replicate her success, and I believe that is all. Thank you, Luke, for joining me.
Thank you.